Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host. So took a little home time, back on the road. Man, yesterday I I just played like musical trailers. I had to go pick up a trailer in Northeast Maryland, but the thing was there were a lot of prime trailers there that were already loaded because I had to get an empty. So there were a bunch of prime trailers that were already loaded, humming along. And then there were 3 prime trailers that were all red tagged because the reefers didn't work. So luckily, while I was trying to figure out what my next move was, a jockey came over. He's like, hey, I just dropped this other trailer if you need an empty. So I got that. I went to Frederick, Maryland, got a load, took that to Briningsville, PA, dropped that off, got another trailer. Then I got a load out of Hershey going to Edwardsville. So I had to but I had to pick that up by midnight. So I backtracked to Carlisle to get a washout because it was like after dinner time, and a lot of times the only reliable place, I mean, I hate to say it, but the only reliable place to get a washout is a Blue Beacon, because you know what you're getting, right? And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, they're not more expensive than a lot of other places, and you know they're going to be open 24/7. There might be a long wait. Turns out there wasn't. The Blue Beacon in Carlisle is big. It has 3 bays, and they have a dedicated washout bay. So it was like pulled right in. Then I went back to Hershey, swapped that trailer out with the one I got on my back right now. So yeah, got some exercise yesterday. So right now, and I say we because I have some guests on the truck. They're in the back. Beatrice is with me, and Brittany. I got the killer bees. So we're just hanging out. A little time with Dad. And yeah, so we're going out to Edwardsville. I got to take a class, a logs class in Springfield. I'm hoping maybe on Monday. We'll see what happens. So a couple of things happened on this day in history, July 13th. On this day in 2010, George Costanza's former employer, George Steinbrenner, died. George Steinbrenner, owner of the New York Yankees. George Steinbrenner was a shipping magnate. That's where he made his money. Who was born on this day? Harrison Ford was born on this day, 1942. So happy birthday to Harrison Ford. He's got a new movie out. You know, just for no other reason than nostalgia, it might be fun to go watch that. And then also on this day, Patrick Stewart, Luke Picard, he was born on this day in 1940, so he's 2 years older than Harrison Ford. Happy birthday to him. Nathan Bedford Forrest, Confederate Lieutenant General and inveterate racist and slave owner. He was born on this day. I'm not really sure what year. I'm trying to think. You know, probably in the late 1820s, I'm guessing. Anyway, he was born on this day. What else happened? Oh, 1985. 1985. Think about it for a second. If you're my age, or maybe younger, certainly older, you will probably remember this. It was a huge deal. Live Aid happened this day, 1985. Simultaneous concerts in Philadelphia at the old Veterans Stadium, and in London at, is that Wembley Stadium? I think it is. yeah, so it was a huge deal. There are videos, some are good, some are not so good, meaning quality wise, on YouTube. Check it out if you haven't seen it. A lot of people just gave like incredible performances, probably none more memorable than Queen. Never was Freddie Mercury on his game more than he was at Live Aid. I mean, they were the most memorable act, I think. I did not attend it. I did watch a lot of it on MTV, because that was when MTV had music, not just Catfish and whatever else they got on. I do like Catfish. Okay, so I wanted to talk about something, and again, here's the intersection of law and trucking. So there was this horrific accident, not yesterday, but the day before, in Illinois on I-70, and I'm actually going to be going by the accident site tomorrow, because we're going across 70 to Edwardsville, Illinois. And the accident happened when a Greyhound bus on its way, I think from Indianapolis to St. Louis, struck 3 commercial vehicles, so 3 tractor trailers that were parked on the shoulder at the entrance to a rest area in Illinois. And here's where the trucking and legal part come in. So when I was at night, there were, if you got your CDL at night, there were probably 2 things that you would never forget that they just drove home over and over and over again. One was, don't ever make a U-turn on a public road. And they actually make you listen to the 911 call of the driver who did, and who had somebody run under their truck and burned to death out in Arizona. And you know, the driver's on the phone with the dispatchers telling somebody to hurry, and you know, we got to get them out of there. And it's hard to listen to, because then you can hear a woman who has come upon this scene, and she's like, you know, I think this guy is trying to get to this burning vehicle, right? And the woman is like, no, they're gone. And so night, it was a fireable offense. If they saw on the tracking for the truck that you banged a Yui you know, across a median or on a public road, they would let you go for it. And I remember distinctly during training, I am not kidding you, we turned, we didn't miss a turn, my trainer and I, we just turned the wrong place, and we were kind of tracked, and we ended up going like 42 miles to go through a roundabout to come back to this place that we were going to deliver. We had plenty of time, we still got there on time, but 42 miles. This is actually the Martin Brower up, I can't remember what time, Brewster, New York, maybe? The Martin Brower. That's where we were delivering, and we took the wrong turn. We turned too early. Because he had 2 navs, and he told me to follow the one, and I did. And then I'm like, oh, we're out to lunch, right? And what happens is, it's like an on-ramp, and it goes onto a 2-lane road, and a lot of it is back through the training areas for West Point. And we went a long way before, I mean, because I was driving, and I didn't really feel comfortable. Like, there, you know, looking back on it now, there were probably some dirt roads with, like, you know, a little bit wide areas where I probably would have just cranked around and done it. But yeah, 42 miles. And the other thing that night drove home was, do not park on the shoulder. Do not park on on-ramps, off-ramps, the shoulder. Don't do it. And, you know, so a lot of people will probably think, oh, well, the bus driver's going to be at fault here because he plowed into these trucks that were parked, and he's at fault and he's responsible for the deaths of 3 people as well as the serious injury of 14 others, which includes the bus driver. But let me say this, okay? While the bus driver may be getting a ticket, may be getting fired, whenever they get out of the hospital, and they may get sued, and I'm sure Greyhound is going to get sued. Mark my words, every single truck that was hit, those drivers and the companies that those trucks are from are getting sued too. And I'll tell you why. Parking on the shoulder in Illinois is illegal. And I don't give a crap if the Illinois State Police issued any tickets to those drivers. I guarantee they are getting sued. And the reason I guarantee it is because even though I never really did tort law, I did work in a law firm that did personal injury, workers' comp, wrongful death. I worked in one of those law firms when I was in law school. People like to call them ambulance chasers. That's fine. But, the thing I learned being in that law firm was when there's any question about whether somebody could have liability for your client's injuries, you sue them and let them fight it out. You put as many people, so if you ever seen a case caption, it's called, it would be like John Doe versus, well, in a civil action, the first person listed is the plaintiff, right? That's the person who's alleging they've been harmed. Anybody on the what we call the other side of the V is a defendant. Now, defendants sometimes sue each other for different reasons, right? That's called cross claims. And if they sue the opposite side of the V, it's called a counterclaim. Little civil procedure here for you. But if I was injured or killed, if I was the family of somebody killed, I would be suing, like I said, bus driver, Greyhound. I would sue every trucking company that had a truck that got hit, because if you saw the bus, it got ripped to shreds by one of those trailers. Now, one of the trailers was trash too. I mean, the impact was at probably 70 miles an hour. Stationary object. But here's the thing, those accident investigators, they, and I'll tell you what, and if you don't think that if you think I'm like out to lunch on this, I would advise you to look at a case that Prime had, that Prime lost, by the way, where a Prime driver jackknifed in Texas during an ice storm, and both the driver and the trainer and the trainee, they left the truck and got clear of it, but they didn't put their flashes on, and it was at night, they didn't have their flashes on, they didn't have triangles out, any of that stuff, right? So if there's a truck that was over the white line, even though, by the way, the shoulder is considered the right of way in a lot of states, it's only for emergency stopping, right? So, but trucks that didn't have lights illuminated, they're going to have even more liability probably than somebody that did. And the truck that got hit first is probably going to, depending on how the litigation goes, they might bear the brunt of that. So, if you think, oh, I'm parked, I'm not doing anything wrong, this is a mandated break, forget about it, right? Forget about it. That's not going to fix anything. And, somebody was like, oh, this points out the fact that, there's not enough parking for truckers. Well, yeah, no shit, right? Every trucker knows there's not enough parking. That's why it's your job to get to a place where there is Safe parking. And safe doesn't just mean safe for you, it means safe for the motoring public. And, you know, like, it's almost 9 o'clock here in Indiana. I'm in Richmond, Indiana, or just to the west. There's a ton of parking spots at this Love's. Now, this Love's always has spots, I've said it before. But my point is this, and I guarantee they're gonna look at somebody's logs and they're gonna be like, this person runs 10 hours and 59 minutes every chance they get. And you know, you see, it's the same suspects all the time. It's these sketch companies. In fact, the trailer I saw torn up was a rental trailer from Iloka or whatever. They're out of Illinois. But you know the usual suspects, right? Piece of crap Volvo or maybe old ass Freightliner, rental trailer all rusted up, you know, and they drive till the very last minute because somebody's paying them 29 cents a mile. And then they park on the side of the road. And this is why it's illegal to do that. So, you know, don't be that person. Don't be the person that causes the death of somebody else. And by the way, you know, you could say, well, oh, the driver of the bus, you know, he's the one that caused the death. But how many times has any of us drifted off the side of the road either because, you know, like, we just maybe weren't paying attention for just a second, or maybe we were trying to move around something? Can you imagine the bus driver's like, oh, well, there's a big tire tread in the road, so I tried to move to the right. I didn't see that there were these trucks parked there because it was completely pitch black and no illumination, right? You know, how many of us could fall victim to this, right? How many of us have seen trucks like random places? No triangles, no flashers, no nothing. And it just is like, we're going 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, whatever. And all of a sudden, bam, it's right there. And you know, and so, or you know, you hit a pothole and it pushes you off the side of the road. We all do that. Nobody is 100% at staying in their lane, right? With a semi. And, you know, and a Greyhound bus is not a semi, but it's a pretty big vehicle. It has air ride suspension, so it kind of gets pushed around just like a truck. It doesn't have, I feel like it doesn't get pushed from the back a lot, but all it would take is just, you know, he hits a pothole, it pulls his wheel to the left or to the right a little bit, and then wham. And he was maybe getting passed by a semi or something, so he had nowhere to go. He's supposed to be able to use the shoulder for an emergency. That's an emergency. So I'm just begging you, don't do it. I mean, don't do it. The people that worry me the most on the road are never ever four-wheelers. It's always trucks. It's always truckers and trucks doing stupid things. That's what worries me the most. So as a trucker, as a lawyer, I'm just telling you, it's no bueno. You'd be better off just running until you can find a place to park that's safe for you and for the motoring public, even if you have to violate your logs. Because every one of these drivers, they're getting sued. And I don't know what it costs to violate your logs and maybe get caught. A few $100, some CSA points. All of them are going to get sued. This is going to be, there's a bunch of lawyers that are going to make money off this because these guys couldn't manage to find a parking spot. And even if you got to go on a truck stop and, you know, like I got woke up last night, but guess where I was? I was in a casino parking lot because I had trouble finding parking in PA because I picked up so late. Guy comes up to the truck. I was already in bed. He's like, you can't be in the parking lot after midnight. So then I went to a nearby Walmart, parked in the back there. Little did I know it said no parking, but I didn't read that sign until I woke up this morning. But nothing bad happened. And, you know, I wouldn't want to get booted in a Walmart parking lot. I wouldn't want to get towed. I wouldn't want to get a ticket. I have gotten a parking ticket on a public street, not the shoulder of the road. This was like a street in Tolleson, Arizona. But you know, that $170 parking ticket is nothing compared to having my truck ripped apart by a tin can with, you know, 40 people inside. So anyway, enough. I'm gonna get off my soapbox. You get the point. Be safe out there. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.